Hey, I want to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to learn more about joining our community, head on over to missionmatters.com/community and apply. Okay, so today is a very special episode. For those that have been listening to the show for a long time, you know I love celebrating our authors. You know I love celebrating new books when they're released. So today I have one of our new authors, Dr. Lanise Block, on the line. She is founder and CEO over at Sankore Consulting. And first off, hey, Lanise, I just want to say welcome back to the show and congrats.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be a part of this.
Oh my gosh. So we've been on this book journey with each other for, I don't know, a year plus now. Time flies when you're having fun, and we're going to get into that. And of course, I want to talk about your writing, your contribution to the book. So Your Gifts Will Make Room for You was the title of what Lanise wrote. But before we get into all of that, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So Lanise, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Lanise, what mission matters to you?
Mission matters to me is inclusion, innovation, and impact. I believe that you must have innovation and inclusion they go together to really make the impact that is needed for social justice in our world, in our society. It's one of the major formulas to combat inequity and promote social justice.
Yeah, love it, and love bringing mission-based entrepreneurs and executives on the line to share, why they do what they do, how they're doing it, and really what we can all learn from that so that we all grow together. So again, great having you back on the show. And I guess before we get into the book, I know you have another book that you're also releasing. So I love it, love more books. So Developing a Critical Equity Leadership Identity, and that's with Dr. Naomi Taylor. So we'll get into this, of course. But before all of that, I don't want to assume that maybe some of our newer listeners caught some of our previous work. So let's just start off maybe with how you got started in the space, like where all that began for you.
It all began for me this basically living life, but definitely more intentional. As I mentioned before, many times as an educator, being in the classroom and seeing, firsthand the disparity with how my students were, the lives of my students in populations or in spaces rather, where there wasn't as adequate resources and things like that. And then moving into leadership positions and seeing the underlying reasons why in many cases there weren't adequate resources, and being a part of the team to help rectify some of that. And that kind of led me into the work of doing diversity, equity, inclusion in a more formal way. And then after that was kind of the basis of the platform in which I started my own business. I'm really wanting to work with organizational leaders to help them and help the organizations themselves really focus on what are the things that are needed to do, the tools, the strategies, the mindsets that are needed to really promote diversity, equity, inclusion in the ecosystem to promote change and impact.
Now, as you're kind of going through your career, and as you mentioned, you're kind of working to this build up and you're progressing. Was there a point, or like what was that point when you were like, I have to do more. I have to start my own business. Like, do you remember that?
Yes. I think when I figured out that what I was doing wasn't getting the traction that I wanted. I was working in a big system and things just move along. It's hard to move a gigantic boat in a great big system. So I think I decided I wanted to do something different. I felt like there were things that I wanted to do that weren't maybe what everybody else wanted to do. I felt like I had to answer. And I felt like there was a way that I could do things a little bit better. And so I wanted to move to developing my own sort of frameworks and procedures and ways of doing things, and working with organizations who were ready to do the work, and who had the leadership on board, and who were ready to dedicate resources and were interested. I felt like that was the sweet spot. People who were interested and poised, and I really wanted to do and work with those people and those groups and those organizations to make things happen in a more succinct way to get the ball rolling and to make change happen in a way that was less about dragging things along and convincing everybody to get up to agree, and then something happened and then change, and we have to start back at the beginning, which often happens in a big system. So I wanted to work with in smaller systems where change can happen much more readily and can be much more effective and much more thorough than in big systems where it takes so much to make things happen.
Yeah. And I see multiple attributes and things that you mentioned that a lot of the entrepreneurs that are watching this they're probably chuckling like I am. It's like, I wanted to do it my way. I had a different way. I wanted to see more. I wanted more impact. I wanted that impact to happen faster. I want to see the change and the value of my work taking place. So I feel like many people, when we go into as being entrepreneurs, that's one of the driving forces that cause us to, take that leap into, and to make that step. What would you tell to maybe some of and let's just talk to let's just say fresh group of entrepreneurs who maybe aren't quite as far along as you are. What would you tell some of the new entrepreneurs, obviously with the benefit of hindsight when it comes to launching their business or their endeavor? And it can be in the DE&I space or not, either or.
Wow. I feel like I learned so many things, right?
Yeah.
That I'm still learning. I don't by any means consider myself.
We all are. I hope we all are. I hope we all are. If somebody's like, I'm done learning, I don't know. Good luck.
So I think having documenting processes early in the game, I feel like some things that I have processes that have just been in my head. I've definitely learned to document them over time. I think that's definitely something that I wish I had done known earlier. And that's something I definitely encourage people that I talk to now when they're getting ready to start their own business, and really understanding that what you have to offer someone, it can be beneficial to someone, and then you have to find your people. I was telling my teenagers that you have to find, when you go to high school, you have to find your tribe, you have to find the people that you're going to hang out with, and so you have to find the people that want what you have to offer, and then finding that niche and that match. And once you find those people, you can really grow, and you can really make some tremendous impact and be really successful in that way. And so I spent a lot of time like molding myself to other things. And I really feel like now I have what I want to do, and when my systems and things that I feel like are really, really great work, really great things, curriculum and things like that I have developed. And I'm really trying to, work with the people who are aligned in that way. So I think that's both those things would be very helpful.
All right, so Lanise, I want to switch gears here a little bit. So I do want to spend some time talking about this book. I'm so thrilled that you are a Mission Matters author and that you participated, and to be able to get your message out to our audience. Truly, it's an honor, and I'm humbled. I want to let's just dive right in. So your gifts will make room for you. So a lot of different angles, a lot of different things you could have written about. Why this topic? Why now?
First, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this book. There were so many great authors, this an esteemed group of people. Thank you for letting me be a part of this amazing suite of people, and it's an amazing sort of product that you have. I'm delighted to be a part of it as well, Adam. So I think that one of the things that I have has been a theme really in my life and in my, especially in my professional journey and even in my personal journey, is I believe that there's enough success and happiness for everyone, that it's not necessarily a finite amount, and that scarcity is often a fallacy, that everybody has available to you. And I also believe further that what you are endowed with, what you are given with, are given, that it is yours, and so you don't have to think about it being, if you treat it right, if you understand that it's a precious gift, that it will, and treat it as such, then it will open up doors for you to be, who you are in the best space, in the best time, and that you have to make sure that you are ready for your time and your space, and treating your gift as it's precious, and that it is something to be honed and cared for, then it's like a light, and that the people will see your light, and then the opportunity will present itself for you. It's actually a scripture, and definitely I identify as a Christian, and definitely feeling like this is definitely a way that I have an adage that I've lived my life, and definitely feeling like that has been true for me. The things that I have been endowed with, blessed with, have been a way to share with the people that have been who they're for, and for me, and the transactional relationship between that. And I definitely feel like, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, going out on my own, definitely feeling like that is something that I've had to be reminded of many times on this journey, trying to figure out what I was going to do next. I often tell people sometimes I'm sitting at my desk here, and I have so many things happening. So many business. I'm like, oh, this is overwhelming. What am I going to do? Other times I'm like, another one, I was like, where's the business? What is happening? And trying to figure out how do I balance that? How do I make it more even, right? And so always feeling like that it's there are provisions being made in that process, and that there will be room, and the gifts that I've been endowed with will make room, and there will be opportunities for me if I continue to treat my gift as a precious thing to be cared for and thought of as special, and then the room will be made for me.
Yeah. I want to read a couple of the headlines here that are in the book. And just for everybody watching this or listening to this, we're not going to go through all of these today. Why? Because, well, I want you to pick up the book, right? Like it goes deeper than even our conversation today, but I will give you a little bit of it. So your gifts will make room for you, will make room. An informed mindset is mandatory. To achieve different results, you must be willing to be innovative. I don't do one-off speeches and potlucks. Love that section. And really, the way you broke down this chapter, I mean, put procedures in place. How can individuals create equitable change? The way you broke down the chapter, I think, was really good, because it made it digestible, but then it also kind of gave some action there, so somebody can walk away and really, if they're interested, they can take some steps forward. So I thought it was a very useful chapter. I want to pick out maybe one or two of these. So I guess the first one I'll pick out is to achieve different results, you must be willing to be innovative. What does this mean to you?
It means that you have to do things different. So many times, I mean, you heard it too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We get caught in the idea that we're doing something because it's always how we've always done it, and we get
that's the blow right there. It's how we've always done it. And I know you're a consultant, so as soon as you hear that, how do you keep from cringing? That's rhetorical. You don't have to answer that one.
Well, I don't keep from doing it. I cringe. I'm like, we can't. We have to let that. We have to, in many ways, let that go, and we have to. Otherwise, people's going to keep. It's a common phrase, but you would. I mean, you're probably not surprised, but many people will often be surprised at how committed people are to doing the same thing, and it's couched in fear and insecurity, and people don't want to take a chance because there's so many things that are caught up in that, and I absolutely understand that. And so we have to figure out a way. And when I speak with the leadership, I talk to them about how do you make this a safe space, right? For change and for risk and for failure. Really, because oftentimes when you start an innovation, there is this little hump that really is part of it. That it's a dip in production. It's a dip in the efficiency, because the system has to take a while to adjust to the innovation. And so sometimes people see that, and right away they're like, oh, this is not working. And you have to give the system time to adjust what is new. And if you have to understand that in advance and be willing to write it out. And that's often that's hard for people to understand and to realize and to be committed to. And so that's something that you really have to commit to and understand, both as the leadership team and the people that they're working with, and then the overall team, the organization, and understand that, and then the other stakeholders as well. And so that's why innovation is have an innovative mindset is critical. And you have to do things differently. We can't keep doing the same things. I mean, it's it's a common terminology and phrase, but it's hard to get people to move and do those things differently. But I'm hopefully my work with them and helping them to understand that these are the elements that need to be in place, and these are some key things. Often I'm starting with some things that are low risk, and moving like incrementally up, that it helps make them see these things are doable, and that can help soften the blow in some ways to doing more things that are much more impactful, and then therefore more risk involved, but we help them along the way. So that's kind of where that idea springs from.
Oh man, it's there's so much to unpack in what you said, and one of the things that I think about when I think about innovative companies or innovation in general is sometimes people only attribute that to like tech, or like, we talk chat GPT, or like AI, or how do we do this? How do we innovate? But when you're innovating, let's just say within the DE&I space, let's say technology aside, can you tell us kind of how you go about this, or what some of the thinking that goes involved on your end in terms of innovation? Because I want people to know that you don't have to be in tech. Consulting, bringing new ideas. Like, there's a lot of different ways to innovate.
Right. There's lots of different ways to innovate. Sometimes it's simple as just, for example, changing the evaluation process. So if you are, if you're committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and because there's a common phrase, people say, people respect what you inspect. Right. So
I never heard that one. People respect what you inspect. I wish I knew that. What you think is common is not common. That's mine, because I didn't hear that one before, Lanise.
First of all, I had back in a long time ago, Mr. Torres, he used to say that all the time.
Yeah.
That means that people are paying attention to what you evaluate. And so one of the things that I often encourage people to do is, if you are again committed to diversity and inclusion, make that part of your evaluation process for leaders. Make that part of in order to be an effective leader. That's we always say we have these lists of things that they're evaluated on. Make that one of the things that you evaluate them. Make that part of the rubric. And so they're committed to it. They have a vested interest in demonstrating these particular qualities, these particular behaviors. And so that's an example of that. Changing again, for instance, the hiring strategies, like making it so that there are specific things you're doing to advertise for jobs in specific spaces where BIPOC people, or people who are marginalized people, GLBTQ, or people who are experiencing disabilities, those people have those communities be very intentional about about that kind of outreach. Those are some examples of outreach, doing things differently. Now, this costs maybe cost a little bit more money. Maybe it requires having a different mindset and thinking about where are those places, who are those people, and so it requires a different way of thinking about that, a different way of going about things. Maybe you have to change your process for posting a job, and your timeline for how long it takes for you gonna open the search window for a job, and who are the interviewers. All those things often will have to shift. So it's like a effect. One thing leads to another. But that's again part of the innovation process. Those are the things that one thing leads to another. Changing interview questions, for instance, might be another thing that you do as part of the innovation process. And this leads to change. Who's going to write them? Who is going to ask them? How are those things going to be evaluated? And you need different people on your team to do these things. So all of one thing often leads to another thing. It's part of the process. And so that's another, and I feel like it's all good things. Once you do one thing, once you do one really great thing, it leads you down to other really great things if you're doing it with reduction and authenticity.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's that cascading effect of what you're talking about, and allowing more and more, regardless of the space that you're in, but in your particular space, I feel like every time you work with a new client, you do something new, like you're furthering that mission of DE&I and what that means, for progress for all of us. So I really appreciate your work. Speaking of your work, let's spend some time here with the time we have left, and talk a little bit more about Sankore Consulting. So maybe tell us a little bit more about your firm and what you do.
So we focus on diversity, equity, inclusion is the one a major aspect, but we also, as Archie said, in addition to, we focus on on strategic planning and innovation. We do that with the design thinking, like the traditional form, and then also liberatory design, which is design thinking paired with equity. The design thinking, the D School, which has created the design thinking, partnered with the National Equity Project and created liberatory design. This is a wonderful tool that I love to use. Also, I do logic modeling as part of my strategic planning process with organizations, helping them map out the things that they're doing, the outputs, the inputs, outcomes, all those things to help them see what they're doing. Also, the design sprints, which are a much longer process in the work, and then recently got certified to be a master workshopper, where learning some very specific skills about the laws of facilitation, so that I'm equipped to facilitate using innovative strategies about really any topic that can be done, and with a variety of different things, that variety of different sort of tactics and procedures around innovation and creative thinking and problem solving.
And so how is this delivered? Is there an online component? Is it in office or in class? Like, tell us a little bit more about the delivery and how people engage.
So both. So I have been because I also, I forgot to mention this. I also have a pretty strong expertise in educational technology. I also do adjunct professor at a couple of different universities in the Twin Cities. Actually, I'm teaching an ed tech class for a university coming up this fall and in the spring.
Wow.
Anyways,
you are busy.
And so I also teach culturally responsive teaching strategies to teachers as well. So I forgot to mention that. Anyways, and so I do all of these things, both in a in virtual environment and in a face-to-face environment. So I've gotten really great at doing it virtually via Zoom, gotten some strategies because I have a ed tech background. I have lots of different tools to do things and create engagement and do all those same things I want face-to-face, both online, but then also do things online, do things in forms of workshops. I can do multiple, like I do series sometimes organizations hire me to do a series of things over like a year-long process. Sometimes it's like a shorter process, like maybe just a spring over a couple of months, that kind of thing, where we have this engagement time, and it depends on the organization, what their needs are, and the scope of how many people they want me work with, where they are, where they begin, and where they want to end. Those kinds of things we do. For instance, we have an equity audit process, and so there's like 8 things you can have in there, the equity audit process. And so if an organization wants all 8 of those, that's a much longer process. But if they only want like maybe 5 of those options, it's a shorter process. And so we try to be accommodating and responsive to what the organization wants to make it get the end that they're hoping for and get the information that they need. But sometimes they need I help them understand that the things that they think they want, they maybe can do something different, or either add or subtract something to get to where they really are wanting to go. And so that's kind of, I help with that as well.
I want to now get into, I've been holding back, but you have another book coming up, which I'm so excited to learn more about. So Developing a Critical Equity Leadership Identity, Pathway to Courageous Leadership. So Dr. Naomi Taylor is who you're working with. That's your co-author. Like, how did this project come about?
So Dr. Naomi Taylor and I both worked for a local school district, and she is, a brilliant, great friend of mine. And we were both working with a different school, and we were talking about, working with this school district. They need this group. They want to do the work. They're interested in doing their work. They're committed, but they need something. They need something. And we were like, actually, Dr. Taylor was like, they need a equity leadership identity. And so we were like, I'm like, yes, that's exactly what they need. And so we went about developing a framework that was really about having these sort of 5 elements and these 5 steps that really helps people understand what it is to get to the point, which is the paragon, which is making courageous equity-based decisions. Because we both saw in our careers, both middle-aged women who's been in this work a very long time, see people who are very, very committed and who really want to do the work, but get to the point, the crucifix of really making a change, and get to the point where they're really getting ready to make a really big impact and make that courageous equity-based decision, and then they stop because they get pushback, they get resistance, they have an adversarial experience, and then they shut down, they stop because they're not equipped to go any further. And so in our framework, our identity building process, we are building them to give them the tools, the understanding, the information they need so that when they get to that point, get to that apex, they push forward and they're able to make that courageous equity-based decision and not stop and not succumb to the resistance that we know will be there, that we know is part of the process. And so we want to better equip them to make those decisions and make that impact and not, fall short, as we have seen so many well-intentioned leaders do. So that's kind of the point of the intention of the book.
Oh, that's amazing. And when I'm not holding you to this, is this a 2023 thing, 2024? When do you think we're going to be live with this one?
So yes, I feel like I'm writing my dissertation all over again because I keep thinking that it's done. But I'm like, I'm thinking I want to add this to it. So we thought it was done, every month for the last 8 months, and we keep thinking, we're going to add something to it. So right now, Adam, I feel like what is today, August, and I feel like it's done. And so hopefully that it really is done, and we won't think of something else to add to it in September. But right now, it's done.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm not holding you to that, but I definitely do appreciate you coming on the show today to promote not only, of course, the book that we released together that I'm so thrilled to talk about, but also, your work at Sankore Consulting, your new book that's coming up. So if people are watching this or listening to this and they want to follow up and they want to continue to follow your journey and learn more, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can go to my website and schedule. There's a button that says schedule a consultation with me. That's the best way to understand, what I'm doing and how to connect and just have a conversation with me. Also, you can also sign up to join our newsletter that we release monthly that has tips and hints about solutions and innovation, things like that. And so those are the two kind of entry points to connect with Sankore. So definitely invite people to engage in one or both of those ways.
Fantastic. And we'll put that information in the show notes so that our audience can just, click on the link and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters, we're all about bringing on business owners, entrepreneurs, executives, and experts and having them share their mission, the reason behind their mission, what gets them motivated and fired up to go out into the world and to make a difference. If that's the type of content that sounds interesting or fun or exciting to you, we welcome you. Hit that subscribe button. We have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. Lanise, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. It really has been a pleasure, and look forward to continue to promote this book with you. Thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.